Oh, that's a good start. 1 second. Let me fix that camera. Sorry about that. 1 second. Just a little issue with the camera switcher, so let's try that. There we go, that's better. That just goes to show you should always test. Anyway, sorry about that minor infraction there. So thanks for joining today's live stream. Today we're going to be looking at a closer look at people masking. You may well have seen previews of it either in our preview live stream or in the actual live stream itself when we spoke about the updates in Capture One 16.5. But today is a chance to go into that a little bit deeper. Before we do, if you want to ask a question, if you're in our live streaming room, then please use the Q&A tab. That just keeps it separate from the chat, makes it easier for Victor, who's hanging out in the chat as well, to see the questions. Of course, doesn't mean you can't use the chat. It's just hard to see your questions if they're kind of mixed up in there. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, then of course, if you put a comment on either of those platforms, then we'll be able to see it as well, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. Okay then, so let's open up Capture One, which hopefully will show, yes, good, that's working at least, and get started. For clarity, I am using Capture One 16.5.1, which came out in relatively recent weeks. So if you're not seeing this little people button here, it's because you are not on 16.5. So to have access to that, then you need to either update your software or upgrade to 16.5. Incidentally, you might have missed it, but rather than in former times having to go to the Capture One website, downloading the application, replacing your installed application with the download, it's much simpler now. You can just go straight for check for updates, and Capture One will just do a quick update without you having to go through that process. So if you've missed that, keep an eye out for check for updates. That makes the process obviously a lot smoother. Okay, so people masking, you'll find this in the layers and masks tool. Third category here, a little drop down arrow, unlike the subject and background, and then we can see the various different, if you like, human attributes that you can mask on an image. Very simple. You can either mask individual attributes as one layer, or you can combine them into different layers. So if, for example, I just say face skin now and say create mask, then pretty quickly you will see a mask created on the image like so, and then the layer is automatically named face skin mask. Simple. So if I go back into here and do body skin and say create mask, now that creates like so. Now notice how much faster that second mask created, and that's something you will experience if you start using this. So the first time you create a people mask, we have to do a little bit of background work to identify, if you like, various attributes on your subject, and that takes a little bit of time, but after that it's practically instant. So if I do let's go for lips and create a mask, see, it's pretty much straight away. If you want to, let's just reset that. If you want to combine, let's say, two masks together, then you can tick both boxes and then you'll get the masks as one combined layer. Notice the name now says skin mask. Simple as that in that respect. A little comment on, let's just go back for face skin for a second, a little comment on the quality of the mask or the refinement of the mask before we move on. So if I turn on grayscale mask, what this will do is hide the image and just show us the mask but expressing it in grayscale. So white is the masked areas, black is the not masked areas. Anything tonally in between the two is where the mask has varying opacity. And if we look at the edges, eyebrows in particular, that's a good indication. Then you can see it's not just like a solid block. There is some refinement between where the image is masked and where it is not masked. Now we put in a small amount of default refinement, which we feel is about right. But if you want to have a little bit of extra subtlety, then you can hit the refine mask button down the bottom here. So if I tap that, this opens up the refine mask slider. And if we go back down to 0, this is how it's made out of the box. If I slowly drag this up, then you can see the mask starts to creep out. Basically in the, I guess, divider between where it's masked and not masked, then you'll start to see the mask creep out. So thus making that roll off much more subtle between masked and non-masked areas. So just by dragging that slider, you can then tweak that adjustment. I would say don't go ahead and automatically do that for every mask you make. I would say the default is about right, but if you feel you need to change that, then of course you can do so. Okay, M on the keyboard to change, obviously, hide and show the mask like so. If you want to change the color of your mask, if we go into settings, under appearance, so second tab, mask color is here. And then that will bring up the color wheel so you can switch the color of the mask to whatever you like. I'm not super keen on the default. I don't find it as easy as to see. There's something a bit more nuclear than what I've got on here. But if you find that obtrusive, of course, then you can change it to whatever color you like. So that's the masking basics, if you like. So how and why would you use this? Well, generally if we're masking skin, and we'll look at some other examples a bit later, then most of the time it's down to fixing some color uniformity, applying some specific sharpening or softening or something like that. So let's do a quick example with this one. So we've got our face skin mask, but I actually want to do a combined body and face like so. And what we're going to look at is the color editor. So let's bring that out and move that down. Now in times of old, before we had such tools, then you would either have to manually brush a mask on the skin where you wanted color edits to take effect, or you would use the AI brush, which did work very nicely. The disadvantage with the AI brush is that you couldn't copy paste it across, save it into a style, a few other things which you'll discover as well. So how do we use the skin tone tab in the color editor? Well, it has a super neat trick. I'm just going to warm up the image a bit more in general. So this particular shot, for obvious reasons, we can see that we've got kind of warm light coming from over here, and then she's in shadow on the right hand side, or it could be reflecting off anything, but we've got quite a mismatch in skin tone. Also in her arm, that's obviously quite different. Neck down here, it all kind of varies a bit anyway, which is completely normal. None of us have perfectly even skin tone unless you're wearing tons of makeup. I certainly don't. But this tool is a really fast and easy way to correct for it. Made even easier by the fact that the masks that you need are created automatically. So if we go ahead and grab this picker, what we want to do now is choose our desired skin tone, our target skin tone. So we're looking at a subject and deciding out of all the skin tones that I can see, which is the one that I prefer, or which is the one that I want to arrive at for the whole subject. So I'm going to go somewhere over here. So click once, and now we get this dot on the wheel. Well, two things happen. You get a dot and you get a color range. So the dot is the exact color that I picked on, and the range is the range of colors that are going to be affected. Now across our subject here, if I just reset that, there's quite a lot of variation on skin tone. That's kind of similar, but just round the wheel a bit. Over here is vastly different. Down here is probably a bit warmer, and so on. So we've got quite a different range of skin tones. That's important because if I pick our target again, what we want to do is get everything within our selected range looking the same as the picked one, therefore making it uniform. So we've got two banks of sliders. The first one, they just change the appearance of your picked color. So if I pushed up saturation, it would just make my picked color more saturated, which is no bad thing. Lighter and darker, and these are quite subtle adjustments. So they don't have the same range as the advanced color tab, which is worth knowing. So these have a more limited, more subtle range. Hue will change the color of my picked color, so you can see what's going on when I drag this slider left and right. We're either going this way around the circle or this way around the circle. I'm pretty happy with how it looks mostly, so we're going to leave it at that. Now for uniformity, what happens is as you drag these sliders to the right, everything in this range will get transformed to that picked color. So everything in that wedge will get transformed to that picked color. So if I drag the hue slider over to the right, you can start to see subtly those colors beginning to align. But it's only what's going on in this color selection. Now, if you remember, I said on this subject's face, they have quite a broad range of color tones, especially over here where it's cooler. So if you concentrate on, say, this part, if I open up the color range by dragging on the handles, you see when we kind of include that area into our wedge, then the color is nicely uniformed. Same for the nose as well. Probably if I close this back up, you see here on the nose, if I open this back out, everything is getting transformed to this pick point. Now, if I pick up this point and drag it over here, you get a good idea of what's happening. So everything in this color range is being transformed to that pick point, but we were over here somewhere. Now let me just reselect so we don't get some weird stuff going on. So we were dragging this one across and we just did that. So same goes for saturation. You can equalize out the saturation, and lightness you can do the same, but that tends to flatten off the image. Maybe you want a little bit of that, maybe you don't want all of that. But the net result is very quickly we can make a nice uniform skin tone just with a click and a drag of a slider. And the people mask, of course, making that instant. You might prefer to have a little bit of subtlety, so you don't have to crank the slider all the way to the right hand side. You can have any level of uniformity that you wish by moderating the strength of those sliders. Equally, as we've done this on a layer, let's close this for a minute, you can change the opacity to go from as we started to how we finished. So you can tweak, blend and adjust till you get, a nice result. And that does mean even on, down here, if we turn the skin mask layer off, before and after, like so. Way faster than ever doing it before, much faster than trying to do it in Photoshop as well. And we're working on the raw data, so we get, a decent adjustment without messing up any of the images. Question from Jeff. We're going to talk about multiple people. This would affect everyone if it has multiple people. Any plans for C1 to have a person 1, person 2? There's loads of stuff coming for people masking, which I can't talk about, but there's some really exciting things coming, which is going to be very interesting. But if you have person 1, person 2, person 3, in a second I'll show you how you can mitigate for that, but it's not difficult. The important thing to remember is that the mask you are creating is no different to if you made it yourself with a pen or a mouse. So I can modify this mask in any particular way. It's not stuck as a people mask. Just imagine a clever AI has grabbed your pen and has drawn the mask perfectly for you in 0.1 of a second, but we can still modify it. Let me just check for questions over here, which Victor has answered. Stephen asked, will the masking feature work with match look? Just remember, AI is assisting you to make a mask, but it doesn't mean it behaves in any different way. So if you want to use any tool in Capture One on a mask, then of course you can do so. Louis had a question about tethering. We will come to that. So yeah, I've got a note to mention tethering later. All right, now multiple people. So quick side quest when we talk about multiple people. So we have multiple people here. Let's just reset this. So if I was to say in this instant, face skin and create mask, which is going to look like that. Now it's picked out actually the side of that person there. But if I want to get rid of that, there's a couple of things I can do. I can use any of the erase tools. So I can just grab a bog standard eraser here. Where are we? And then just erase, like so. No problem there. If we wanted to use the AI tools, which I can do, so if I just undo, if I grab the AI eraser, then we can just draw a box around the elements that we want to get rid of, like so. So you've got a couple of different choices, but remember, the AI is creating the mask. It can be edited infinite times with all the normal masking tools that you would normally have. So it doesn't prevent you doing anything, if that makes sense. Okay, of course, this can be done on a batch as well. Let's just hide our mask for a second. So if I grab 3 images like so, and let's just choose hair for doing something different, then it will calculate the mask individually on each of those. So once those are done, if we turn the mask back on, then you can see the hair mask in each of those shots. So you can do it on a batch as well, which is very important. Now, if you find yourself making a bunch of different masks regularly, then you can incorporate that into a style. So a couple of things. First of all, if you want to incorporate into a style a type of mask and an adjustment, you can do that. If you just want to have the type of mask, then you can do that as well. So let's just go to this image and reset the layers. So let's say you find yourself regularly doing face skin, body skin, and hair as an example. So if we set those 3 masks up, so let's do face skin, like so. Let's do body skin, like so, and then let's do a hair mask. So we've got hair, body, face, 3 different masks. Now let's say that's something you're doing all the time. And again, to accelerate this, you can save that into a style. These could have adjustments as well, but if you just want the mask creation, then you can do so. So if I go to my Styles tab and go to the Styles and Presets tool and say Save Custom Style. So that will show me exactly what's on this image. Now, the only thing is the 3 layers. That little icon there is like a little people icon. So it means it's a dynamic mask. So when we apply this style to a different image, they will be recreated based on the subject. So this was hair, body, face. So if I save that, I'm going to call this hair, body, face, like so, and save that. Now, if we go to a different image, let's just reset everything, and we go into my custom styles and click on hair, body, face. Then very quickly, what will happen is we've got those 3 layers, like so, for this particular image. And to make it even quicker, don't forget, if you don't know this, if you edit your keyboard shortcuts, you can bind styles, style brushes, crop, aspect ratios, and a couple of things into a keyboard shortcut. So you're looking for this 3rd category, custom shortcuts. So if I want to apply a style, let's just get rid of these other ones, older ones. I'm going to say plus. My command is going to be apply a style. I'm going to choose my style, which was hair, body, face, and then I'm going to put a shortcut key. So on my keyboard, I'm going to do Shift Command 9, like so. And now let's reset this image again. If I do Shift Command 9 on my keyboard, straight away it starts to apply that style, and we've got our 3 masks like so. So put those on shortcut keys. If you find yourself doing this a lot, that's going to be way faster than clicking around in the layers and mask tool. And Ian says, or add the keyboard shortcut. Hang on, let's do that. Right, now so you don't see 2 Davids, I just need to switch this over. Hopefully this is going to work. Yeah, so what Ian is talking about, and Ian would know because he works for Zense Labs, is setting up this little gadget. So this is my Zense Labs tablet, of course, and then you can also set up quick keys on here as well. So pretty easy in the Zense Labs setup application to just bind some shortcut keys to these, and then you could tap any of these buttons, and then it would pop up into Capture One. So simple. So lots of different ways you could do that, but a lot of the time having physical controllers is faster than actually remembering your shortcut key and so on. It's a little bit hard to see, but down here we've got text which you can put on the LCD screen, so that could say face mask, lip mask, or whatever. So yeah, definitely. So good tip, Ian, thanks for popping in. But I completely agree. If you have these mechanical controllers like the ZenSlab Quick Keys or a Stream Deck, or Logitech has a little device now, yeah, there's loads of different ways you can do it, and using physical keys, I'm a big fan of that. Right. Moving on, let's just check for questions over here. Does the eye masking tool work on animals? Okay, good question. Why doesn't it work on animals? Because you'd think eyeballs are eyeballs, right? Not necessarily. So the way it works, and there's a kind of funny terminology here, is that the way we detect a face is that you look for common landmarks. And landmark is maybe a strange term, but when I say landmark, that is eyes, nose, mouth, etc. hair and so forth. But most of us have eyes, nose and a mouth in relatively similar positions, and they look relatively the same. So by detecting someone's landmarks, then you pretty much know, oh, there's a face here. And then depending on how smart the AI model is, depends if like they're not looking directly at the camera. If we take this one, because these are obviously very easy to detect, if we just chuck in a quick face mask here while I'm chit-chatting, then you'll see it doesn't have to be a big prominent face in the screen. Capture One will easily go out and find faces and so forth. But something like a bird or a dog doesn't have those kind of same landmarks that we do. Yes, they have eyes, they have a nose, but snoutier. They have ears, but they don't look like ours. They have a mouth, but it doesn't look like ours, and so on. It then becomes harder. But depending on various different AI models, then of course you can incorporate that as well. As I said, there's loads of exciting stuff coming to people masking, which I can't talk about just yet, but this is just the first iteration. So of course it's only going to get better and better. William says, any chance eye masking will add iris or sclera? I'll tell you that. I'll give you one little carrot. Yes. I've already tried it. So yes, we will add that. It's just a case of being tweaked and refined at the moment. What William is asking, of course, is right now, if you do a eye mask, you get this, like so. But quite often you want to whiten this bit, or you might want to sharpen up this bit, but you don't want to sharpen this bit because, of course, that has veins and other stuff, and then it looks less pleasant. So yes, you will actually have the ability to say sclera, white bit, and iris, colored bit for sure. Okay, moving on. Copy paste. We should talk about that. So copy paste workflow. So we have a bunch of Alexes here. You may have seen Alex's face around before. Alex is one of our product managers behind the team, which has done all of this essentially. And if you haven't seen it, if you look on our Instagram channel, Capture One, then there's a really nice reel with Alex and Tice. And Tice is one of the developers behind Matchlook, or the principal developer behind Matchlook. And they have a really nice little chat and a conversation about how that was born and what it can do and so on. So I'd strongly recommend watching that. Okay, so how we use it in this situation where we've got a bunch of Alexes, where his pose is moving a little bit. This is actually two different pictures, but he's just very good at striking the same pose. But you can see from the background they are indeed slightly different. So in each image, of course, Alex has a slightly different body position, slightly different hair position, and so on and so forth. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we could get the same adjustments quickly and easily across to everything else? Absolutely. So on the first one, let's kick off editing with a film style. So I'm going to go for, what should we go for? K2, that's maybe a bit too contrasty. Let's try that. And maybe a little bit on the warm side. So I'm going to just pull that down a bit. So we've got our adjustment here. Let's make a little bit brighter as well. Alex has got pretty good skin tone, but I think let's just do a face mask anyway so you can see how it goes. So if I do face skin like so, we'll do the same thing that we did before. So we're going to go into our color editor, which is hiding up here. Almost lost it for a minute then. Didn't want to put it there. There we go. So Alex, skin tone, let's go around here. Now we've got a mask, so I'm not afraid to expand that out a bit, and let's throw in a bit of uniformity like so. So if we turn that layer off and on, it's super subtle on Alex, but I'm happy with that, and that's operating on that mask like so, not affecting his lips and so forth. So that's one thing. Let's pop that away. Let's now do a hair mask. And we're going to add in some clarity and a little bit of contrast. And whoa, not that much. Sorry, Alex. And some structure for a bit of sharpening too. You get the idea. We could go ahead and do eyes. Why not? Let's do eyes. We just pop a little bit of extra sharpening and brightness in there. Not too much. A little bit of structure and so forth. So we've got a bunch of layers. Done some adjustments. Would be nice to get this across to the other images for sure. So if I open up the adjustments clipboard over here and hit the copy button, so that's going to pick up all the adjustments which are on this current Alex and then put them onto the adjustments clipboard over here. And notice that under layers we've got an eye mask, hair mask and face skin mask and so on. So now if I go across to the other images like so and say apply, then it's going to do those base adjustments and everything that we did with the layers as well. But of course it's going to be individual to the pose that Alex is in. So if we look at the face skin mask on each of these pictures, then of course you get the idea. Then it's going to be moving around. Same for the hair and the like so, and the eyes as well. Now, if you'd done that on Capture One before using just the AI brush and you'd picked out Alex's hair, which would be easy, and his skin, which would be relatively easy too, and his eyes, then that's great. But if you then try to copy and apply that across to the other images, it would fail because it would just put the masks in the same place. So this way, you've got a really nice, speedy, accelerated workflow. You can't copy and paste refine mask, no. So what I would do is I would decide on your first image exactly how you want it to look. And then of course, when you copy and paste, it would be good, but there's nothing to stop me refining them individually if I want to. Last little thing that we can do with these is AI crop. Now I'm using Capture One Studio, but you have the same tool access in Capture One Pro, but Capture One Studio has a fancy AI crop which allows you to set up margins and so on. I'm just going to use the basic version, which is what you will have or what you will see in the crop tool in Capture One Pro. So you will see a button the same as this, set as reference and apply reference. It's just in the crop tool. So if I bring up the crops, so we're going to crop Alex down to something like this. I'm going to set this reference and apply that across. And then now what Capture One will do, it will keep Alex's head at the same relative size and position in each of the crops. So even though he was moving around a bit, or the photographer was, then he's now nicely aligned. So this works great on the same person, just so you know if there's multiple people. So let's reset the crop here. There is a little reset crop and a reset everything except crop, if you hadn't noticed that before. So this is Tice, one of the developer behind Matchlook. Where were we? We were over here. So if we crop Tice down to something like this, and we've got our 3 other developers as well, set reference and apply. And then notice how different the crop is on each one. And then now they're all in the same relative size and position as well. So it's super quick, generally pretty reliable. Set, apply, you can see how quick it is. Now we've got a bit more headroom above everyone like so. We could go in a little bit tighter, stick the face in the middle, set and apply, like so. So it doesn't have to be the same person, but it can be really convenient if you're shooting a bunch of people. You can also do this tethered, and you can also shoot with people mask tethered as well. So let's go back to what we were looking at before. Yeah, so let's say we'd got Alex set up. We'd set up our adjustments. We'd fixed our people masking over here. Now, if I was shooting Alex tethered, which I'm pretty sure this was, the next image would have all this stuff in it as well. So you can shoot tethered, applying as you go. What you can also do is shoot tethered and apply the AI crop as well. The only thing you need to be aware of, let's just change my workspace for a second because I don't have the tethering tab up. You'll see in next capture adjustments, there's a checkbox that says apply AI crop. So you can apply the crop, apply all those changes, apply the masks as you shoot tethered, which is super nice. So don't forget you can do that. It's not necessarily abundantly clear, but works really well. Okay, just checking questions. A specific request, a face shot, low key that has a large contrast from rim light to nearly black. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Let me just check. I was looking for a particular image which I know is very low key. Oh, here we go. So let's look at this. So let's reset those, and then we're going to go for face, create mask, and see what happens with this. There you go. So there's your face mask. Don't worry if you've got like an underexposed image or anything like that. Because Capture One, when it's creating subject mask, background mask, people masks, unbeknown to you, it will actually do an exposure correction or levels. I'm not entirely sure, but obviously lifting the exposure so it's easier to identify elements. So this one you could say, well, it's pretty hard to see where skin and hair is defined. So if we do hair, let's see what comes up with, like so. And then if we do body skin, create mask, like so as well. So don't worry too much about underexposed. Oh look, picked up the foot as well, which is in near darkness. So don't worry too much about, okay, it needs to be well exposed or anything like that. That is not the case. Okay, let me finish off with a couple of questions, and we can continue, but that's pretty much it. Just checking for answered questions. Alan was asking, does auto crop work if some are horizontal and some are vertical? Yeah, it doesn't matter actually. So it's not an issue because it's based on face detection, and the rule is keep the face at the same relative size and position in the crop. So it doesn't matter if you'd switch from horizontal to vertical. You can see in these how much the crop has jumped around. So it's not an issue at all. So, but good question actually. So there was two questions on that. That was D Crack who asked about the low key light shot. So hopefully that helped you. How sensitive is the hair selection, especially wind blown? It's pretty sensitive. There's always going to be, of course, times when it gets tricked. Let's just open up this crop here for a second, and let's do a quick hair mask. So there's lots of flyaway hair here. The one thing you want to avoid with hair masking is, of course, like the helmet head effect look, where it would just kind of draw a solid line, you know, like all around the hair, which doesn't look good at all. So if we look at the hair mask and then the grayscale mask, that's pretty nice. So if I did want to do like a little contrast tweak, etc., or brightening or whatever, I can do that quite nicely without it being obviously masked. I would say when you're assessing the quality of the mask, do that in combination with the adjustments that you're applying, because you might suddenly get really pedantic about, oh no, there's like 5 pixels missing here or something like that. Don't think there is. That's the face mask. So let's just do a quick body skin one as an example. Yeah, so don't get pedantic about, oh look, there's like a tiny section missing here. Always judge the quality of mask on the kind of the adjustments you're doing, and then see if you need to check on it. So yeah, that would be my advice. But generally the hair masking is pretty nice, I would say. It's definitely a lot more accurate than a lot of our competitors and has a really nice level of refinement without the nasty helmet hair effect. Okay, last few questions. I got a perpetual license, thinking of buying a monthly based license. Can you keep the old perpetual license? Yes, you can. So generally that is the rule. If you're unsure with anything about licensing, just make a support case for customer success, and then they will happily tell you what you're eligible for, what you can do, and what you can change around. Can we get rid of flyaway hairs? There are some healing and cloning tools in Capture One up here, so you can heal out and so forth. Whether that's like the fastest way to get rid of flyaways, I'm not sure. I haven't had enough experience shooting people to tell you that's a great thing to do. But if there is like a couple of little flyaway hairs, Alex doesn't really have any. Like if we wanted to get rid of this one here, I could grab my healing brush, gonna make that a bit smaller, and then we can just draw around the flyaway like so, and then Capture One will pick a source point and then get rid of it like so. So it is possible, and you can choose which source point you want to have as well. So if there's a couple, I would just go nuts with the healing brush and do so. If you wanted to do something like a bit more extensive, then there's other tools that you can go ahead and use as well. Nice one. Last few questions over here. Good question, Stephen. Are masking and matching innovations coming to the iPad version? So last week we spoke a little bit about that when we were looking at Capture One Mobile. Yes, there are some changes coming to the mobile version. So we will be able to gradually introduce some of the tools that you've seen here to the mobile version. So we'll start with some more basic AI stuff and move on from there. But yes, the plan is to add some of those tools to the mobile version as well, and not too far in the distant future. Jeff is asking, with automatic skin detection, any plans to incorporate the healing brush into it? Well, now that we're getting better and better at detecting skin tone and landmarks and features and so forth, then there's all kinds of possibilities. As I said, there's lots of nice things coming. I can't say anything specific about that, but we understand that's kind of a big desire from you guys and girls as well. Nice one. All right, well, pretty much thanks for joining me today. If you want to join the next live stream, there is one in December. It's not on the page yet. It's on December 19th, where we're going to show some more new and exciting stuff and improvements. So I'm looking forward to that. If you browse to that webpage, which you can do by scanning the QR code or by just going to bit.ly/C1 Livestreams, that will take you to the live streams page. I would strongly recommend you click the follow button, because then when new things get put on that page, then you will get a notification on email. And that way you don't have to keep checking back, and then you can sign up straight away, as I'm sure you would love to. But yeah, December 19th, I believe it was, is the next one. And that's looking at even more new stuff, which should be exciting. So that's going to be a nice little update too, to round off 2024. So thanks for joining me today. I hope that was useful. Go ahead and try out people masking. It's awesome. And enjoy your weekend when you get there. Take care. Bye now.